What was the last one I put up? Let's check. Hello, hello, hello. Given that I have been under the weather, okay. I guess we are right on course. Alrighty. So today we began on page 165, September 12th, 54 days to the election. I was back on the Swing State Trail the next day with an event in Charlotte. People in the audience shouted, "Concepts!" And I knew they were referring to one of Trump's low moments in the debate. Moderators asked if he had a plan to replace the Affordable Care Act, which he tried and failed to destroy in his first term. It had been saved thanks to the vote of the late Senator John McCain. "I have concepts of a plan," Trump had said. 45 million Americans are insured under the ACA, and he wants to destroy it for concepts of a plan. I told the rally we owed it to the voters to have another debate because this election and what's at stake could not be more important. Our campaign had raised $47 million in the 24 hours that followed it. Trump, meanwhile, was running hard in the opposite direction, telling a rally in Tucson that he was done debating. And on his social media platform, even more emphatically, there will be no third debate. Of course not. He's going to tuck tail and hide. David Plouffe answered with a post of his own. At long last, we discover his spirit animal, the chicken. As funny as that is, if you are not indigenous, and this comes from the indigenous community, please stop using that phrase about spirit animals. Okay? September 13th, 53 days to the election. Laura Loomer had traveled on Trump's plane to the debate, to the 9/11 memorials, and to his rallies. It was clear that her special brand of vile crazy was getting in his head. Was it? Are we forgetting that Trump has already been vile crazy? Like, can we get out of the habit of attributing who Trump is at his core to other people, especially women who are in adjacency to him? Like, make up your mind. Are women so weak and feeble that we are perpetual victims, or are we the masterminds behind everything? Pick a struggle. She'd suggested on social media that the earrings I'd worn on the debate stage were really earpieces, though through which I was being fed answers. Trump parroted that line in his next speech. I learned later that the sales of those Tiffany pearl and gold earrings I'd worn and of an earpiece that looked similar had both skyrocketed. I had to laugh. Yeah, that was them coming together, or Trump asking her to come up with something that would excuse his piss poor performance. Because unlike the Democratic Party, there's no one else that can keep MAGA together. Trump is MAGA, MAGA is Trump. Without Trump, there's no MAGA. But that has reigned true for a multitude of factions within the Republican Party. And if you want to break down on the varying factions since its inception of the GOP, subscribe to my Substack, link in bio. Some of Loomer's racist bile was too much even for other extremists. Marjorie Taylor Greene, who blamed the California wildfires on Jewish space lasers, took exception to Loomer's post that if I was elected, the White House will smell like curry and White House speeches will be facilitated via a call center. If you can offend Marjorie Taylor Greene, you're really at the deep end of the hate pool. Okay. Hey, Tay. Here's the thing. I'm going to need intellectuals to be intellectual. Marjorie Taylor Greene isn't having some great awakening, some wondrous epiphany. She has not decreased in racism. She's seeing the writing on the wall. She is seeing that within the next 5 to 7 business months, Trump will be ashes to ashes, dust to dust. She knows that MAGA cannot survive and thrive and move on without Trump. And she also knows that whatever new iteration of new factions that will make up the grand old party, she needs them to remain in the power that she's clamoring for, because everything else she took pride in her life has dissipated. So the only thing else she has to identify with is the power of politics. September 14th, 52 days to the election. They had to close the city hall in Springfield, evacuate schools, and lock down hospitals because of Trump's unfounded slander of the Ohio town's Haitian population. No Agatha today, Swords. We did that earlier today. You missed a good one. Somebody decided to send me their story. So now we got a whole series. And before I did this, somebody sent me another DM. I accidentally started a movement. Trump's baseless debate claims that Haitians were eating pets provoked a wave of bomb threats. Even after the woman who started the rumor told a Wall Street Journal reporter that her cat had been found safe in her basement and that she had apologized to her Haitian neighbors. She only apologized because nobody was going along with it. Like, pets go missing every single day. She started that rumor in the hopes of something else happening. I need y'all to continue to think about and remember all of the people who had 15 minutes of fame via Trump and MAGA because of egregious lies that were soaked, completely seasoned with racism. See, racists don't like seasoning unless the seasoning is racism. Another woman who had amplified the rumor on Facebook also apologized, saying she'd never had any evidence for her post. She only apologized because people found out who she was. I didn't make my profile picture. My significant other did. Yeah, he made it for me. I didn't. Normally my profile picture is just me or one of the logos that I made. None of that stopped Trump. His anti-immigrant rhetoric became even more intense in the days that followed. He appeared to revel in the chaos he could provoke. It reinforced my belief that it was a cunning strategy to distract from the fact that he had no plan to make things better for the American people. It should have been the first key as to what he was going to use to distract from his actual plans in his presidency. Because one thing for certain, two things for sure. What fuels the United States is racism. People are easily distracted by racism. If they have nothing else going on for them in their life, they have the ability to utilize racism to make themselves feel better about their lack of ability, their lack of skill, their lack of intellect, their lack of financial stability. They would rather punch down upon the racial hierarchy. Because race is the only thing you don't have to put any energy or effort into. And what's going on right now? The East Wing of the White House is gone. And we don't really know what the plans are for what he's actually building. Because for such a prolific real estate developer, the renderings that he's showing the public don't make any sense. And they look like a weekend assignment for a middle schooler in remedial classes. Nope, they don't have to think to do it. You're absolutely right, Peanut. September 15th, 51 days to the election. I was home at the Vice President's residence, prepping remarks for a speech I planned to give on a subject of vital importance to me, the broken state of U.S. child care. Is it broken? Because if it's never been fully functioning and properly working, how did it break? Think about it. Too few places available for families, a labor-intensive profession with poverty-level pay, and razor-thin profit margins for the small business owner. In short, a national disgrace and an issue where we lagged most wealthy nations. Our Build Back Better agenda had been designed to address this, but had run up against a recalcitrant Republican Congress who, for all their talk of family values, refused to see either the social or the economic upside of fixing the problem. Coming into office at the height of the pandemic, one of the first things I did as vice president was to call attention to the national emergency of women exiting the workforce en masse. Were women free to participate in the labor force at the same level as men, our national GDP would be 5% higher. Quality, affordable child care, including universal pre-K, would massively improve both worker productivity and children's educational outcomes. Yes, I've heard of Sora AI. Here's the thing. How about we stop pushing that you're not a woman until you give birth? How about instead of just pushing for child care and proper leave in the workplace, why don't we include proper child care on college campuses? Why don't we encourage people to open up small businesses that are child care facilities inside buildings that already exist that hold a multitude of corporate offices? We want to build elaborate campuses for adults to go to work and feel like children. How about we create an educational system that doesn't leave anybody behind and doesn't lag coast to coast, and is actually centered upon the proper education of the students that populate them? We keep trying to fix something that was never completed. It's like building half of a house and still trying to fix the door because you're wondering why there's a draft coming atop the door, knowing you never put a roof on the house. And maybe, just maybe, men and male-presenting individuals, hear me out. Change the societal rules that you claim are stifling you. Stop pushing for somebody to have your child when you're not willing to be a parent. See, somebody just having your namesake means nothing when everything they carry forward has nothing to do with you. You know the Wheatley name, but you don't know the white folks behind the Wheatley name. So somebody can know your surname and still know nothing about you. I was working on my remarks when staff called with the news of another attempt on Trump's life. Another. Can we talk for a minute? Y'all mind if we stick a pin in this real quick and we chat? Because even in this book, hold on, I'm reaching over to grab my beverage. Give me a second. Because we've established that Trump got with old jigsaw-faced Laura Loomer to come up with a narrative as to why he didn't do so well in his one and only debate, presidential debate, against Kamala Devi Harris. And then it's clear that, the whole eating the dogs, eating the cats thing didn't go well. And remember, this is also during the time that it's circulating that J.D. Vance likes to put it in the pullout, and a multitude of other things. There are some people in MAGA that seemingly are starting to wake up and go, hold up, wait a minute, he got too much dip on his chip. This is even too much for me. He going a little too far and things ain't making sense. You're saying you're going to do all these things for us, but how is it going to be accomplished? They're realizing a plan needs to come with the idea. And let's also not forget that this is the same time frame that there are a multitude of Zoom calls happening. White men for Harris, white women for Harris, LGBTQIA plus for Harris, black women for Harris, the Latino community for Harris, the Asian community for Harris. Fundraising is at an all-time high. She's having to turn people away from her rallies. This is also during the time where Trump was being criticized for allowing one person at this time, at least, to pass out at one of his rallies, and he got upset. Trump is all about TV and ratings. He was amongst the first screen kids. Okay, we think about screen time when it comes to electronics. We forget the screen, babysat by the screen has always been a thing. As long as there's been a television, as long as there's been a movie theater, parents have been utilizing it. The picture box, as some used to call it, as a third parent or a surrogate or a nanny. So Trump looks at things as what's going to get the highest ratings, what's going to grab the attention, what's a cliffhanger. And you can't tell me that this wasn't his JR from Dallas moment. Y'all remember who shot JR? Folks that you didn't even looked at Dallas. TV shows that didn't even talk about nighttime soap operas was talking about it. People acted like JR was a real person and not a character on TV. And now you have Trump doing the same thing. Because the United States has been indoctrinated to love a hero. Love a hero. And once you get hero status, just like once you die, people are like, you can't speak ill of them. It was so heroic. Look what he did. Y'all do realize that speaking ill means not to lie on someone. Mm-hmm. My initial reaction, how could this keep happening? Now keep in mind, the first attempt was with the whole ear thing, but he got full cartilage. The second attempt, not a shot was fired. The trial from that, the Routh trial, ended not too long ago. He was found guilty, which I was shocked about. But he was basically found guilty of plausible intent. Because he never fired a shot. He never even set up the gun. His supplies were just found there. And as much as Trump loves to talk about the people he can't stand and the people who are against him, I need you to ask yourself why he has been completely radio silent. Very silencio regarding that. Because I'm sorry. I find out that you plotting to take me out. Oh, baby, I'm talking about you every day, all day long. Okay? You're going to get all the attention from me that you wanted. You wanted to start a fire, baby. I'm going to be the smoke. You are going to suffocate off of the smoke inhalation from the smoke that I'm going to deliver to you. You understand me? I was relieved he was okay. You didn't have to write this in the book. I know you wanted to sound like a caring person, like you don't hate Trump. You didn't have to. You could have just skipped that. You was relieved that because the rest of us wasn't. I mean, he wasn't even in danger that second time. He wasn't. It wasn't no danger. It was a stranger, but it wasn't no danger. Okay. Keep in mind, Trump is the same person that said that his personal Vietnam was dodging STDs and STIs in college. Same college where he really didn't attend classes for. I've had a protective detail since I became San Francisco District Attorney. I've adapted to a life in which every move I make outside my home must be coordinated with my protection detail. Death threats against me have been innumerable. I never talk about the threats or the people who have been prosecuted. Some elected officials speak of these things. I never have. I am not going to be, oh, woe is me. I never carry myself in a way that I feel vulnerable or act vulnerable. But I am acutely aware of it. See, that's the thing. We need to get out of making people feel like they are portraying themselves as a victim for talking about the reality of what they live. She gets death threats because she is a black Indian American woman. that has been voted into power multiple times on multiple levels. And she knows things need to be coordinated. She understands the positions that she has held and what comes along with it. But see, one thing for certain, two things for sure. A Euro-American straight Christian or viewed as Christian white man believes he's above all the violence, even when he's the one invoking and making okay the violence. We have heard time after time again, we've watched with our own eyes as Trump has changed plans at the last minute. Trump loves to go golfing. You know, the thing that he claimed that Obama was doing too much of when we all knew that Obama was a basketball man. But anywho, I'm just going to say this. We still haven't learned anything from JFK Jr., well, JFK Sr., making decisions at the last minute regarding transportation, just all open air and everything. Okay. When you have been in the public eye as long as I have, people have long memories for things I have done that they didn't like and may have stewed over for years. I got some disapproval for saying that if somebody breaks into my house, they'll get shot. Well, that's the damn truth. And that right there, everybody in MAGA should have been on board with. Because isn't that one of the primary reasons that they say that they need stockpiles, that they need personal armories? To protect their family, to protect their home, to protect their property, you know, their businesses and everything else. Maybe a mistress or two. I said what I said. But you know what they did after she said that in that interview with Oprah Winfrey? I saw so many people say that's not dignified. That's not how we want our politicians to speak. Y'all vote in politicians that make campaign commercials talking all about their guns, that photograph themselves and place it on social media at the gun range or just showing off. You voted in politicians that held weapons and allowed their children to hold semi-automatic weapons for photographs that ended up on Christmas cards. But someone expressing that they would use a properly registered, cleaned firearm that they have been properly trained on to do what you say that it's intended to do, protect their home. You have criticism. But it's the truth. I've never made a big deal of being a gun owner, but I have a reason to have a handgun. I store it securely, and I know how to use it. And that's the thing. That is the thing. True gun owners don't always talk about their guns because it is for protection and for many people for hunting. How are you going to properly protect yourself if you're constantly letting people know exactly what you have and exactly where it's at? Those that don't know how to properly clean or use their weapons or don't have the ammo for the weapons that they're just getting are the ones that get it to show off. They get them to show off. They're the ones that would piss themselves by anything that slightly went bump in the night. Staff briefed me on what little was known of the attack. Trump had set out for an unscheduled Sunday afternoon golf game at his West Palm Beach golf course. He was on the fifth fairway just after 1:30 p.m. when a member of his Secret Service detail saw the muzzle of a semi-automatic rifle poking through bushes at the very next hole. The agent opened fire. The would-be shooter fled. Trump thankfully had been whisked to safety. Very soon after, we learned to our relief that the man had been apprehended. Now, I know what the book says, and I know what I said previously because I'm going by court testimony. Nothing was set up. It was like a glimmer of like a reflective piece on the backpack that the Secret Service agent saw. And that man had been there for a while. There were some things that were set up, hooked onto a chain link fence and everything else. Now, I'm not going to denigrate our Secret Service. They are some incredibly vetted and highly professional individuals. I am going to say this. Well, ask this. Do y'all like Trump? Are you willing to look bad at your job for the sake of him going bye-bye? I'm not criticizing. No judgment here. I just want clarity. I'm just trying to properly gauge my reaction. When that day comes. As my big brother Thomas says, when Mahalia Jackson looks over him and says, "Soon I will be done with the troubles of the world." Just wonder. Trump was quick to blame our campaign rhetoric for calling him out as a threat to democracy. If him being a threat to democracy is what would invoke people to become violent against him, how come we haven't had a London is falling moment? He should have been blaming the lax gun laws he championed, since the arrested man, who had a criminal record, had been flagged by the FBI as being illegally in possession of weapons, including a fully automatic machine gun. And why does a regular schmegular citizen need a damn it? Y'all ain't learned nothing from the height of the mob wars, huh? My bloody Valentine don't mean shit to y'all, huh? Just never listen. Despite numerous convictions, he'd obviously had no trouble obtaining a lethal weapon. That night, Elon Musk posted his reckless tweet, musing as to why no one had tried to shoot me or Joe Biden. Here's the thing. If you don't walk around advocating for violence when someone disagrees with you, you're not really at risk or a threat, for the most part, for violence. You're not. And the reason thus far no one had truly tried to assassinate openly and publicly Joe Biden or Kamala Harris, let's be honest, Trump hadn't asked them to. Trump hadn't said that they needed to be eliminated. Trump didn't believe that the Democratic Party would ask Joseph Robinette Biden to step down. And when Joe Biden did step down and Kamala Harris stepped up, they weren't banking on that. They wanted to win votes by continuously poking fun at Joe, as if Joe and Donnie Sr. weren't in high school at the same time. Like, I have two brothers on either end of me. One younger, one older. We are very, very close in age. There's a lot of overlap in our formal education, right? As far as us being registered and going to classes. That would be like me poking fun at them. Like my older brother, "Oh, he's so old, we graduated back to back." Or like my younger brother and him, we graduated back to back. We was all in there at the same time. We all had homework at the same damn time. Like, that's why I think it's funny where people were sitting there constantly criticizing Joe Biden for his age. His age is 8. Donald Trump is now the oldest sitting president the United States has ever had. If the problem was truly age, in regards to who you were going to vote for, how the fuck did Trump get voted in? Quickly, Linda, quickly. Like, stop making excuses for why you vote. First of all, you don't have to tell anybody who you vote for. You don't have to tell anybody where your political affiliations reside. I remember a time where you didn't know who was Democratic or Republican because they just didn't talk about the shit. You might get a glimmer if they went to a campaign event and got a little free merch or something, and they might be mowing the lawn one day and you might see them in somebody's t-shirt or hat. But other than that, you didn't know. You did not know. You don't have to make up excuses as to why you voted. If you are so proud of why you voted and who you voted for that you want to bring up that conversation, then tell the truth about it. Tell the truth about it. You don't have to make up an elaborate story, or just tell the truth about it, or don't speak. You all are willingly giving up information that you don't have to give. When you go to fill out a job application, they don't care. If you're Democrat, Republican, Temperance Party, Pink Party, Green Party, Tea Party, they don't care. When you go to the hospital, they don't care. I will never understand. I don't understand people lying in the first place, but you're lying about stuff you don't have to disclose. Okay, right. Yeah. Okay, he has popped in here. Mr. Chaos King, are you doing the panel on race tonight? If you could answer in the comment section for the people. Okay, we're going to do one more. Yeah. We'll take one more. September 16th, 50 days to the election. I walked into the International Brotherhood of Teamsters Roundtable in Washington, D.C., knowing I wasn't going to receive its endorsement. Teamsters, hey. Jimmy Hoffa did not die a presumably violent death and presumably be sliced and diced and buried in multiple places all over the deserts of Nevada for y'all to be out here making dumbass decisions, okay? And for y'all not to be unified in all of your decisions. Because all the different factions of the Teamsters unable to unify and completely stand on the right side of history during this last race to POTUS Mountain. You should have been swallowed, but your daddy wanted to shoot up the club. Most major unions already had endorsed me, including the AFL-CIO, the United Steelworkers, and the United Auto Workers. But the 1.3 million member Teamsters had yet to decide. When Biden was still in the race, we'd learned that the union was leaning toward remaining neutral for the first time since 1996. Biden, what the hell did you do? Well, I know you didn't make a phone call in favor of her because you's a bitch. You's a bitch. I mean, I'm glad that you were very, very concerned about cementing a proper legacy in the history books, that you did the best that you could and you did some good things for us, but you's a bitch. You's a bitch. And you will forever go down in my historical record as attempting to be the Thanos of black people. Like you were trying to collect black people like we were Infinity Stones. So you could just snap your way to the top. Biatch. I don't think so. It's not how it works. I'm not streaming on YouTube right now. This will be uploaded to YouTube afterwards, Tay. Members were angry that Biden had signed a bill blocking a nationwide rail strike that would have devastated the economy and cost thousands of workers their paychecks. I knew very well that my candidacy wasn't likely to swing the needle in our favor, despite my lifelong support for the union cause. Okay. Once again, Kamala, you're pissing me the fuck off. I'm gonna need you to learn how to read the room. Do you need to borrow my glasses? I got some extra pairs, okay? I got some extra pair. They said that their problem with wanting to remain neutral, because they knew that Trump wasn't a great cause, was, let's go back. They were mad because Biden had signed a bill blocking a nationwide rail strike. They don't give a fuck about your love of unions. What were you going to do about that, sis? You ain't had to bring that up. I thought you were about to be like, oh, my lifelong love of the railways and my love of the history of it and how I was going to come in and correct it. The fuck? If you're going to write a book, make the decision to no longer straddle the fence. Something in you all's life has to be open, honest, pure, and raw. You want to connect with the people, be the people. Show us how you really are. Stop writing books that are supposed to be tell-alls where you're still campaigning. At some point, y'all got to get off the damn campaign trail. And I'm saying this as somebody who criticized Trump for never stopping campaigning since 2016. Sometimes you got to stop being a politician and be a person. You want us to believe that you're going to be there for us? Show us that you are like us. Sean O'Brien, the union president, had spoken at the Republican National Convention. He'd asked for a speaking slot at ours as well, but why would I put someone on my stage who hadn't supported me? I'm not about to be punked. If you're flirting with my opponent, have at it. First of all, you didn't even take control of your damn stage. That wasn't your stage. That was Biden's stage. We already went over that. And for those of y'all that missed the previous parts of this book, you can click the link in my bio. You can watch it on YouTube, unless you're watching it on YouTube now. Then hey, you don't get big and boisterous now. That man could have came in and just got a speaking slot like Oprah did and not even been on the damn schedule. If he'd have showed up, they'd have let him speak. And if you know that the plan was for them to be neutral, yes, they would have asked for a spot at both conventions because they wanted to see who was going to be more welcoming. It's called negotiating. You ain't never did. Who buy your cars? You were done. Quit. Who buying the cars at you? You ain't never negotiated nothing? I walked in there determined to speak the truth. I was not going to let them do what they were about to do without giving them a jolt to their conscience. Girl, a union ain't got nothing to do with a conscience. Now, do unions look out for the workers? Yes, but a union is a business just like the businesses that they're trying to protect you from. A union is about protecting the financial stability of its members. They'll do it by any means necessary. This ain't got nothing to do with a conscience. Right, the Teamsters, the Teamsters are the mafia of unions. You want to give them a jolt to their conscience? What the fuck? What? Kamala, you about to cause me to turn into a middle-aged white soccer mom. You about to make me write you a very stern letter. She needs to spend some time in Chicago, New York, actual LA. Like what the? Okay. I would make them weigh in their own hearts and minds the decision they were going to announce. Once again, I need y'all to stop trying to play on people's emotions. Okay? We need the invoices on these things, okay? And we need the blueprints. Y'all give us ideas. Show us the blueprint, okay? Give us the rendering. Give us the blueprint, okay? Then give us a list of the contractors, subcontractors that you're going to bring in to implement this. Give us the schedule, the itinerary, if you would, of what's going on. Stop trying to play to everybody's hearts. Hearts don't pay bills. Emotions and weighing in on them don't keep us healthy. I'm tired of this. And then you wonder why the country is running on emotion that nobody taught them how to regulate. Kamala, this is why they think that we women can't lead. This is why they think that we would. You sound like a wayward boy mom. Like, I'm just gonna weigh in on her emotions. She'll love my little Johnny because he's just the bee's neat girl. Girl. I laid out, chapter and verse, what unions would get from a Trump administration. I went down the list of Donald Trump's anti-union actions, and it's a very long list, from the beginning of his real estate career screwing over workers and busting unions to his recent conversation with Elon Musk, where he said it was okay to fire workers exercising their legal right to strike. I contrasted this with the equally long list of the pro-labor stance that had been marked my entire career. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. You got people out here tutoring you on everything else on the campaign trail, on the multiple campaign trails that you've been on, and nobody told you the most important rule of business. You never talk about your opponent's product. You never talk about their services. You never talk about them at all. You went in to business negotiations, leaving them thinking about Trump. Do you think Coca-Cola goes into a room talking about Pepsi? Leaving everybody sitting there thinking about Pepsi and all the good memories they had with Pepsi. Even if you brought up all the bad, the human brain is going to bring something up to contradict you because, this is a business meeting. This is a business transaction. So I need to think of counters to what you're saying so that I can counter you in negotiation so I can get the most out of this deal. Therefore, when you're going in, you don't bring up your competition because all it's going to leave them with is, I wonder if they would give me a better deal. I'll get back to you, girl. And of course, the competition is going to come in and never speak about you and leave with the deal. You got people out here spending a whole week prepping you for a one and done debate. But they didn't properly teach you how to negotiate. Y'all pissing me off. Y'all pissing me off. You know what I have done? You know who is going to be better for labor? If your endorsement is based on that, it is obvious you should endorse me. Jesus fucking Christ. I paused and looked directly at those longtime union guys. And you was probably in there in a pantsuit, wasn't you? Did you bring some food? Did you bring some snacks? Did you bring some beverages? Where did you meet them? Because you know what you should have met? You should have did some recon. You should have met them at their favorite watering hole, okay? You should have offered to pay for their food. You should have went casual, okay? Blue collar casual. And you also should have asked them to bring their little ladies with them. Because you was a lady. To get through to them, you needed to talk to their girlfriends, their wives, their mothers, their sisters, them type of folks. And don't go in no damn pantsuit. These are people that show up to national media interviews and their union logo t-shirts. Jesus Christ. Regardless of whether you do or not, I will still be president for all your members. You should have said, I would love to be you know what? I knew I had significant support in the rank and file of the union, did you? And even some support in that room, did you? Because I'm not trusting your ability to read rooms. And while the General Executive Board of the Teamsters elected to make no endorsement, many Teamsters locals wound up endorsing me. Before I left, I shook every hand. From the look in their eyes, I could see that the majority knew exactly what I was saying. I'd spoken the truth, and they'd heard it. Girl, Jesus Christ. We gonna get Sister Cat a tutor so she can read better. You didn't have the majority of anything. If you had the majority of those people in that room on your side, they would have endorsed you. Making sure that you shake everybody's hands. All right, we're going to pick up tomorrow on page 172, September 17th, 49 days to the election. Didn't see in here if he's going to have his panel on race tonight, but you can check on Chaos King Reloaded. But tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, Villains View will be here. We were originally going to have a special guest, but they are unfortunately under the weather and will be joining us next week. But tonight we're going to have a little fun. We're going to keep it light. I think you're going to enjoy it, especially after the chaos and the stress of this week. We're going to let our hair down and go back down memory lane. I think you'll like this, especially if you know about the 99 and the 2000. Okay. As always, each one teach one, each one reach one. And again, if you missed any part of this, shortly it will be uploaded onto 107 Days on YouTube. Link is in my bio, and it's in its own playlist. Yes, Thomas is coming to play tonight. Thomas will be there tonight. It will be a rocking good time. So, go out, get into some good trouble, and remember, don't do anything that requires bail in this economy. And also remember that allegedly, you only need bail should you get caught. Bye now.